What's up YouTube? Dale here from Zephyr with a live duel from local. So on the left we've got myself with Black Rose Dragon, and on the right we have Rob with Dracotail Dragonmaid. Starting straight off with Faymana, bit of an odd one here, but going straight into Setruan Dragon. Played it kind of well when you think about it, because you put, it was Draw and Lockbird and Magnemute. He summons the Magnemute back, puts the Draw and Lockbird back onto the bottom of the deck. Use this Magnemute's effect so you can search out a Moonaloo or a Pan or an Urgler during the end phase, and then gets Hieratic Seal. Obviously not the perfect opening, but when I'm looking at this, I'm like, right, well, I know I need to deal with Hieratic Seal, which would lead into a Moonaloo, which can go for Pan and a Fusion Summon, so that can ultimately end up being a pop effect. And then, typical fashion, we top deck Fualos for turn. Now, the hand isn't perfect. We've opened up one of the Fairy Ants. We open up Roxrose, which is obviously a great start, but when we think about it, we know that there's a guaranteed kind of return or a bounce with the Hieratic Seals. Then I'm feeling the two set cards are either going to be a mixture of Sting, Flame, or Horn, so I do need to be a little bit careful here. I'm going to special summon down the Vengeful Rose Witch. Now, with this one, he kind of navigates it very well, because with Synchros, at the end of the day, if you take care of their tuners, don't let them have tuners on the field, or maintain any type of tuner pressure, it can be a bit of an issue. I feel, if anything, what I probably should have done here is maybe go for go for Basil Roshu instead. Because now what we've done here is we've done Hieratic Seals, we're putting the Roxrose back to the hand. We get to draw a card because of Fualos, and then we've got a Moonaloo on the field. So I know that there is a Moonaloo fuse into our Fulion, which can give me could give a bounce 1 for either my opponent getting resource or a bounce of one of my monsters. And then we've got the Pan that would destroy one of my monsters. So we use Revolution Synchron in the hand to synchro into either a Coolie Belt, which will let us target a particular card to destroy it. The benefit of going for Coolie Belt, which is probably something that I should have gone for, is that Coolie Belt would allow me to resolve the Vengeful Witch. So ultimately what I would get here is the Coolie Belt would threaten one of the cards. Now, I would try and threaten, if I was just going to go for Coolie Belt, I would try and threaten the Moonaloo. But then Black Rose is also an option. So Black Rose would threaten both the spells and traps plus the Moonaloo. But the downside of that one is, because Black Rose is a when effect, by the time I resolve the chain backwards, whatever card I summon off of the back of Vengeful Witch would ultimately end up getting destroyed anyway. So with Coolie Belt, at least it would threaten one particular card, but then it still leaves my opponent with 2 cards in possession. So we're activating Dragonmaid Hospitality, which is going to return the Black Rose Dragon to the extra deck, returns the Moonaloo to the hand. And then we can destroy the last card. And I think the last card was something like a Flame. So the Flame was obviously being held for the Black Rose Garden. And I suppose this is where Basil Roshu would have come into play above the Black Rose Garden, because we go for Stay Sailor. Stay Sailor obviously gets destroyed. And the only reason I went for Stay Sailor is that I don't even know if I can actually go for Stay Sailor now that I think about it. Is to send a plant from the main or the extra deck. So it's just kind of figuring out what the best options are for this one. Like, what's going to get the most advantage here. And that's only what you're trying to look for. Now, the Roxrose being returned to the hand now has actually made it a little bit more awkward, because I send the Garden Rose Maiden. I was like, cool, I can bring back a Rose Dragon monster. And then I'm like, my Rose Dragon monsters are in the hand. So now we activate the Black Garden. This is probably where if it was Basil Roshu, you summon out the Roxrose, but even then it doesn't go anywhere, because there's nowhere to sync, there's nowhere to do anything. So it doesn't really work for what I was trying to do here anyway. The only other card that could have been sent from the main deck would have been like Spore, as I wasn't playing Glart Bulb. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can't do Stay Sailor. So that's a misplay on my behalf. You can kind of see. So what is it? It's special on... No, 15 or less defense. Yeah, I thought it was 15 or less attack. So yeah, I can do Stay Sailor. Normal summon down Moonaloo Fuse, and like I've not got any field presence here whatsoever. So it's literally just our Fulion is now going to regain the resource, and I think at this point it kind of becomes an uphill battle, because we go our Fulion sets Ketu, sets Rahu, adds back Faymana, add back Magnemute. Ketu adds and then fuse. Adds, not fuse. but you get to add access to Urgla, which now means with Feymena or Rahu, we can pop the Black Rose Garden. Very minimal like burn damage off of the back of that. So we're going to Ash the Rahu, so we hold that for that one. But even then, we just go Feymena. If we really want to do it, you go Feymena, fuse itself, and I think we could probably go for game. Like, they could have gone for game here, right? Because you'd go... So we're going Magnamut, we're going to banish the Garden Rose Maiden. Magnamut's affecting the end phase. Feymena to fuse Arfulion, and... I'm surprised that it fused off the Arfulion, because the Arfulion would do a little bit more damage. But we then still get to use... We don't even get to use Arfulion. Yeah, we do. We get to use Urgla. So Urgla would destroy the Black Rose Garden, which is what's happening here. We're going to be setting the Sting. Oh, maybe he doesn't play Horn anymore. This should pretty much be enough, because, I mean, Magnamut in for 25. We're going to recycle the Feymena. Obviously, at this exact moment in time, there's no fusion materials, but... During the end phase, we're going to be able to resolve the Magnamut. The Magnamut would get the missing piece that you need. So, probably just go for maybe Pan here or an Urgla. Draw for turn. I really don't think there's a lot here. I think I've got the Rose Princess, which is going to get me the White Rose Cloister, which will give me a special summon. But you can see like my whole entire hand is all like monsters at this particular point in time. So the White Rose Cloister can give a bit of disruption, but then when we look about it, we've got Sting, which is going to disrupt the graveyard. We've got Urgula that can then respond to destroy either a spell or a trap. Then we've got the ability of Feymena, which can then go for Urgla, and Urgla then deals with a spell or trap. So trying to activate the White Rose Cloister here, ultimately, you probably hold it, really? Because I mean, you've also got the threat of Arfulion. So there's just like a lot to go on here. We've got banished one spell, one monster from the grave. Special on down Rock's Rose effect to search. Again, doesn't really get a lot. I probably should be going for Basil Rose Shoot here. Don't know why I'm trying to force the fact of a Black Rose Garden. Because it doesn't really extend the plays anymore. There's just not much more here. So we're just going to go Basil Rose Shoot. I think I've got White Rose in the hand. The reason that I special on the Rock's Rose instead of normal on the White Rose is because obviously with the White Rose Cloister you can kind of hold it. I probably could have special summoned down the Rose Princess and then normal summoned White Rose. But then if I do it that way and they disrupt my White Rose, like White Rose gets negated or returned or anything like that, then I've got there's no tuner on the field. So we normal summon White Rose, get down Rock's Rose. We've now got two tuners. We're going to be banishing Revolution Synchron. This is the only one that's really going to do anything in the graveyard. And then the spell card being the Black Rose Garden. There's no more kind of like recurrence from the graveyard at this exact moment in time with what we've got present to us. And there's still the Feymena and there's still the... So still the Arfulion, there'll still be the Urgla, so there's still the Gulamel. So there's still like 3 disruptions here. So now we've got rid of the non-tuner. We're going to have to use Basil Rose Shoot to bring back here. And then it's just going to be, Arfulion's just going to return. There's no way that a Synchro Summon is allowed to happen here. Even if I chained the Basil Rose Shoot to the Sting, again, we would have been relatively in the same position because then they would just go call Chain Feymena. Feymena would then summon, and then Arfulion will return, and then Gulamel could destroy, I guess. Oh, well, I would have disrupted the Gulamel, but still would have got the return off of Arfulion. Anyway, going into game 2, this one's not great either. So I open up the other half of the Fairy Ants, or the I can't remember the exact names off the top of my head. I've kind of removed them now from Black Rose. They didn't do... what I was hoping they would do for me. I'm trying to see if I can find them to one side. Yeah, the Fairy Ant and the Cyclops. So obviously I got the Cyclops in game 1, and this one I got the Fairy Ant. And then I got this with the hard open of the White Rose Cloister, which I only played 1 of. And also the Frozen Rose, which is also a 1-off. So I've seen 3 1-offs, but they're not cards you really want to see. And the Frozen Rose, when it sends a non-plant, you search out a plant from the deck, level 4 or lower plant from the deck. And because the Fairy Ant is an insect, I couldn't special summon it off of I couldn't special summon it off of the White Rose Cloister. So what I'm trying to do here is I've got to navigate myself to a plant. The plant could then be special summoned through the White Rose Cloister because I've already used my normal summon. But then the special summon of said plant doesn't really get me anywhere. So it's kind of a little bit tricky to navigate where I want it to go. I could have gone for the Cyclops. Cyclops then lets me discard to then add an insect or a plant tuner from the deck to the hand except itself. And then if an insect or plant synchro is specialed while it's in the grave, I special summon it. And the Fairy Ant, like the issue is the Fairy Ant is what you'd want. Because, I mean, yeah, it just doesn't really work here. It didn't really get anywhere, and I ultimately decided to kind of hold on to the card for a bit of resource. Ashed the Parlor Dragonmaid. And then just Ketu gets into Feymana. There's just not like a lot that can be done here. I know that the Parlor Dragonmaid wants to send Dragonmaid Changeover, which is just like a recurable fusion spell. And ultimately here, when we go Arfulion, once Arfulion resolves, the resource management from this point on is just crazy for Dracotail. So getting access to Rahu, getting access to a second Ketu, possible that they've hard opened up the trap cards or removed them. We're going to get a Rahu, we'll get a fusion summon off of the back of this. Arfulion, I think you can just push for game, really. Parlor's not the strongest, but even if you can't push for game here, so we're going to be fusioning with Urgla and Lucius going into the Gulamel. Trigger the 2 chain effects in the grave, get the 3rd Rahu from the deck. Well, because there's one in the hand. Destroying the White Rose Cloister. And then using Urgla to recycle back the Feymana. So we've got that set up ready to go. And then we're going to go Arfulion for 3k, Gulamel for 28, Trill Tactics Thrust, just to kind of put the final nail in the coffin. So Trill Tactics Thrust gets any kind of normal spell or trap card. Looks like we're going for the Dragonmaid Changeover. I don't control a monster here, but you can see that my hand is currently Vengeful Witch, Ash, and then I top deck a Chalice for hand, and I'm like, I've got no combo pieces to help me do anything on that one. So game 1, very well navigated, just kind of kept me off my tuners. And then in game 2, I just didn't really open up that well, to be honest. Some of the cards I've already kind of changed in the deck list. They just didn't really help me the way that I kind of wanted them to. But that was round number 1, so it didn't start off well at locals. Then we're going to be bringing you round number 2, which is also going to be against branded this time. And then I do believe I've got round number 3, which will also be branded. So we'll see how they progress. Hopefully this is giving you not much of an insight into Black Crows, but maybe a bit of an insight into more like how I navigated around, why certain outcomes happen the way they did. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. If you like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe. And of course, happy dueling.